And here we go as we immediately go into Cornelia. Oh, am I on? Oh, okay, great. All right, thank you very much. We begun by buying a hammer, and we are quickly doing our first equipment glitch on in this race, and that is turning a hammer into 4 knights armor. So what we have to do there is we have to quickly hit the R button and the X button simultaneously, and that creates knight's armor for everybody. And so now everybody has godlike defense already to start. So, and that's the cliff notes of that. Okay, and now they are gathering they're doing their mission, a quick cutscene before they head out to defeat the first boss, which will be Garland.
Morning, everyone. Sorry about that.
It's all good. We just had our first equipment glitch.
I think we'll just quickly introduce ourselves, and then we'll introduce the racers, and then we'll get you guys back to the action here. I'm Porsythe, one of the participants in this tournament.
And I'm Game Boy F9. I'm not participating in this tournament, but I've really enjoyed Final Fantasy 1 PSP. Really enjoyed this tournament, and I'm really glad to be here.
And our racers today are GreenCleric and Nickynoel. GreenCleric was the second place finisher in my group of play, and ended up with the 15th seed in this double elimination bracket. And Nickynoel was the winner of her bracket and had the second fastest average time of her race, so she's currently the number 2 seed in this double elimination bracket.
Yeah, and the personal best between these two, well, it's separated by 6 minutes and 9 seconds, but you never know what's going to happen with all the RNG and everything, so...
The action looks pretty close so far.
Yeah. And now we've picked up some leather caps, and now we're going to use that same equipment glitch that I talked about, like, literally a minute ago, to turn those... to turn that leather cap into a bunch of judgment staffs, which they're a pretty powerful weapon to start with. It's got a horde of offensive power, and we're about to see how strong this is.
Yeah, we're just gonna knock Garland down over here.
Yep.
Usually takes 3 or 4 hits with that staff, so in most cases it should go down in 1 round. I've had, I think, maybe 1 instance where it didn't end in 1 round.
Yeah, and only 5 seconds between the two to start off, so which is virtually nothing. Everybody gains a level, and now they're going to bring the princess back to the castle. That sounds like such a familiar plot.
Well, I would hope it's become familiar in the last 30 years since this game originally came out.
Yeah. And now everybody's off to... so now the bridge will be built, as well as grabbing the loot, which will be used a lot later on.
Here we have like the first of a handful of cutscenes throughout the game. There's not much they can do to speed this up, so we just kind of watch through it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But now that they've now that we've rescued the princess, the king has agreed to build this bridge that will let us travel to the next town over Provoca. So after we get out of this cutscene, GreenCleric and Nickynoel will begin heading over to the next town there, and over there is a group of pirates that have possession of a ship, and we're going to take possession of that ship from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think one thing we haven't talked about yet is the party composition for each of the players. Both of them are using the same party composition, and I think almost every racer in this tournament is using the same party composition. It's currently believed to be the optimal party composition for this category. We use 2 melee fighters, the warrior and the thief, and we use 2 mages, the white mage and the black mage. The warrior is most useful because he has the access to the widest set of equipment, and with the equipment glitch, it allows us the best flexibility for getting items onto our other characters. The thief actually has pretty high agility and helps us run from many encounters, and he's also, with the equipment and the levels that we're going to be getting, the strongest melee character over the course of this run. For our black mage, he will pick up teleport later on in the run, as well as haste, and that will help us speed up a couple key fights and let us quickly get in and out of some dungeons and towns. And finally, we have the white mage, who will, with the equipment, will be doing just as much damage as the other characters physically, but at the end of the game, we'll switch over to healing mode for the final boss, and should keep our party up and running for the last couple fights.
Yeah, GreenCleric had a little bit of a struggle with wolves and warg wolves. They have a very high evasion rate, which is a key figure in determining whether you're going to get away or not. Yeah, right. I'd say the average, and he's struggling again. He's totally failed with. He's failed twice to run away from those wolves. One with a run fail before, but meanwhile, Nickynoel is about to blow up some pirates because this judgment staff, it does a little bit more than hit Garland for 80 points of damage. It also casts a little something that we like to call Flare or Nuke for the NES fans. And they just deal 87,000 points of damage to everybody, and that's it. Nickynoel has her ship.
Early on in this fight, and actually throughout most of the run, the Judgment Staff, using it as an item, will cast Flare, and it's the easiest way to deal with larger packs of enemies in this game. Get off. Thank you. Okay.
Oh. I don't know where my kitty's hanging out. But anyway, Cleric is now blowing up those pirates, and he's now picked up a 35-second advantage because of those 2 run fails from those wolves. Meanwhile, Nickynoel has arrived at the next land. She's headed off to the Marsh Cave. But first, she's going to go to Elfheim, and I believe she's going to pick up some golden needles to prevent, so in case she gets stoned, which I haven't seen, which I don't see very often, but if it happens, she's prepared and ready to go. And now she is off to the Marsh Cave. Meanwhile, GreenCleric ran into a shark! But those are easy to get away from. And now we are trying to quickly run away from... Nickynoel's just ran into a bunch of warg wolves. They have high evasion. And we'll see if she can get away. It's not going to be easy. Well, she did get away.
Nicky unfortunately takes a little detour down the wrong path. So during this section, I mean, the encounters that they're hoping to avoid are primarily wolf encounters because they can be somewhat problematic to run from, and also larger groups of undead enemies which have a chance to paralyze party members on attack. If the pack is large enough, or if the encounter is an ambush or something like that, it may result in the entire party being paralyzed, and if that happens, it can be a large time waste, or even more dangerously could wipe the party if they can keep the paralyzed on long enough. So Nikki has made it into the marsh cave, and she's nearly at the end of the first floor here. GreenCleric is just entering the cave as well. There's 3 floors to the marsh cave. It has one of the lower encounter rates in the game. So there's not too many particularly dangerous encounters here. I mean, the worst is probably undead enemies that can paralyze or enemies that can poison us, which just slows us down because it requires us to go into the menu to heal the poison with the antidotes we picked up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But we're making our way now to the 3rd floor to this particular tile, which is guarded by Pisco demons. They can spawn in a pack of 2 to 4 for this encounter, and they're guarding this chest, which is contains the crown, an item that we need to proceed further. The easiest way to deal with them is usually just to use the judgment staff at this point.
Yeah, we're gonna blow up. We're definitely blowing up some Pisco demons, that's for sure. And GreenCleric gets this crown at 10:18. Nickynoel is not far behind. She's gonna get that crown at 10:50. So 22 seconds, still anybody's race, obviously. As a matter of fact, I would even say that if it was like a 2-minute difference, because you could just go from a 2-minute difference to 20 seconds by the time you reach Astos, depending on how many encounters you run into.
Yeah, unlike a lot of the games that that many of you, if you've been watching many of the other games that are being broadcast on this channel, especially, luck plays a much higher factor in the outcome of how the runners perform in this game than it does in a lot of the other ones. Execution absolutely does matter in this, but luck represents a higher proportion of what's going to ultimately come out to be the resulting time. The number of encounters and the types of encounters and the enemies they run into can determine the pace that they can take in terms of how quickly they can get from point A to point B. And over the course of this run, which is maybe an hour to an hour and a half to an hour 35, it can add up to a number of minutes difference between the runners, or it could be even extremely close to them.
Mm-hmm. And GreenCleric.
There's no set pattern for how to deal with any particular enemies. There are certain encounters that are unrunnable that they're going to have to deal with, and there are certain other enemies that are difficult to run from that they're just going to have to use their discretion whether or not they want to try to run, or if they would like to try to clear the pack out in order to just keep their pace.
Mm-hmm. GreenCleric's first to Astos, and this is pretty similar to how we had to deal with the Pisco demons, except 2 people will just attack him straight out because he's the only guy sitting there, and the other 2 will use the judgment staff, which will damage him substantially. Now in GreenCleric's case, he did not use death. Is that correct?
I did not see death used.
Yeah,
but I'm also he did just enough damage apparently.
Yeah, so. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, Astos has a chance to cast death on one of our characters, which can just kill them outright. If it's a mage, it's particularly impactful because we're trying to get as much experience as possible for our mages by a certain point of the run.
Yep.
But the general strategy is just to attack with the 2 melee characters and then use the staff on the 2 mage characters and hope that it does enough damage to get them in one round. If not, they'll just use usually physical attacks to finish them off in round 2.
Yep. And so it's still a very close match as GreenCleric has once again run into wolves. Can he get away? No, he does not get away. So how does running away work? Well, we add the agility, intelligence, and luck of the individual characters running. We take it against the average of the wolf's evasion, plus or minus 8 or 9, and then we draw random numbers based on those 2 numbers, and we figure out whoever wins gets to run away, and that is why it's not so easy to run away from wolves early on, because you got maybe 40% chance, maybe even less, 33% chance of running away from a wolf. So which when you add it all up, you got about a 75% chance to run away from those wolves, but it's not, which means it's not even close to guaranteed. And if you fail to run and there's a bunch of wolves sitting there, you're gonna lose substantial seconds.
So Nikki got an ambush here with the wolves. We haven't talked about preemptives and ambushes yet. It's not unlike many of the other games in the series, though. A preemptive attack guarantees that you'll be able to run on your first opportunity from that fight, and an ambush guarantees that every enemy will get at least one attack on your party. In many cases, this is just a huge time loss, and depending on the enemies, it could be very, very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Well, meanwhile, GreenCleric just got ambushed by a shark, which, well, if you're going to get ambushed, that's like one of the best fights to do it on. Almost got really unlucky by failing to run. Oh, meanwhile, Nickynoel just got ambushed by 2 big eyes and 5 Sagans. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And that's going to
say Sahagin,
cost...
but yeah, that's about right.
Oh, it's Sahagin. Okay. And that's going to cost her a ton of time because, like, well, you see, there one person's already paralyzed, so and there's really no choice. I mean, the Sahagins and the Big Eyes, they are 72 evasion. Big Eyes is like 84 evasion. They're very tough to run from, and so therefore Nickynoel's just gonna blow them up.
I mean, Big Eye's only attack is this gaze animation, which has a relatively long animation, has a chance to paralyze our characters, so it can waste a lot of time, and the Sahagins themselves are difficult to run from.
Yeah.
But they're both making their way up to Matoya's cave. It looks like GreenCleric has made it all the way there. He exchanged the crystal eye he found from defeating Astos and gave it to Matoya, and she gave us a Jolt tonic. We're going to use that and travel back to Elfheim and give the Jolt tonic to the healer standing next to the Elf Prince, and we'll revive the Elf Prince. He'll reward us with the Mystic Key, an item that grants us access to a number of treasure rooms that were previously locked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the early part of this game is kind of a lengthy fetch quest as we try to make our way to restore each of the 4 elemental crystals throughout the world. We have to go through a lot of this to be able to access the first crystal, the Earth Crystal, and then after that we have actually some freedom to choose which crystals we want to pursue from there on. But most players will be following the same route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I believe Nickynoel. Oh, yeah, Nickynoel failed to run from Shark and Sahagin Chief. Is that correct? Did I say that right? Meanwhile, GreenCleric, he's got a Big Eyes and a bunch of Sahagins. Did he get ambushed?
Yeah, that was an ambush.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that didn't help. So he's gonna do the same thing Nickynoel did just a little bit earlier, and he's gonna blow him up. Agony, that is correct. Each character's agility, intelligence, and luck, you add all 3 together, and that is compared to the average of the evasions of the monsters. That is how the running away works.
This is some recent research according to Game Boy, who's been looking into the code. Because many of us, like myself, I only play console. I haven't really dabbled in emulators or anything like that for this game, so I don't know anything about that personally.
Yeah, I discovered. I actually started researching this stuff when Cruel did his 110 run back a couple weeks ago. But anyway, GreenCleric now has the Mystic Key, which he can use to get the nitro powder. But first, he's gonna get a little something. He's gonna get something called the Mystic Hammer, and then that's gonna be converted into 12 Thieves Amulets.
Armlets, yes.
Armlets. Excuse me. And
you got the gist of it.
Yeah, and that's going to raise everybody's agility by 15. Is that correct?
I believe it's 5 per item and there's 3 per character, so that should raise each person's agility, which should increase their chances to run and increase their chances to go more quickly in combat.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what's actually happening in the glitch, or at least the best way to describe it, is that we'll pick up an item, and every piece of equipment in the game is stored of one of 2 tables, either a weapon table or an armor table with a certain item ID. And when we perform the glitch, we turn the memory cursor on in the configuration to enable the glitch, and then we'll go into the equipment screen, and we quickly scroll between our characters using R and L at the same time that we try to open up a list of menu items, and it brings up the IDs, but you can link two characters together on different slots, and if you if you target it on the weapon slot of a character and then try to scroll over to another character that's on, let's say, the armor slot, it will load the IDs for the wrong table, so it will load it for the armor table if you try to open the weapon slot. And in this case, we can obtain a bunch of powerful equipment that we wouldn't normally have access to, including a bunch of equipment that was added as bonus equipment in this remake version. So a lot of the items that they're equipping now, or will be equipping shortly, are not available in the normal NES or PSX version of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Cleric is the first one to get to Castle Cornelia, and he uses the Mystic Key to access a treasure room in the back to pick up the nitro powder. We need to take the nitro powder over to Mount Dwerger and give it to a dwarf who can open a hole, blow a canal for us to be able to access the rest of the sea throughout the world map. Nicky's not far behind, though. Not even less than a minute at this point.
No. Yeah, I'd say probably 35 seconds. I'll find out for sure before too long. And of course, will depend on what encounters she'll run into. But
you'll notice Nicky docked at a specific tile that she, in this version of the game, particularly this one, I think all versions of this game, the only place you can land your ship on is at dock tiles. I believe all Final Fantasies after this eventually got rid of that so that you could land any spot on the world map, but you're limited in where you can land your ship. So they landed at the closest available spot, and they have to walk the rest of the way.
Yep. This isn't going to be this is going to be pretty close still. So there's still anything can happen here. But you can see we have a little bit of a cutscene. And I'm trying. There we go. So 22:15 is when GreenCleric has resumed movement after blowing up the canal. There's a lot of blowing up in this game.
Well, we only know violence. So that's our best way to deal with things. There's no diplomacy option in this game, unfortunately.
No. This isn't Final Fantasy VI after all. Yeah.
So now that Cleric has opened up the canal, he's going to sail through it and briefly stop at the nearest town just on the other side of it, Melmond, and he'll pick up the most powerful weapon that we're going to be using over the course of the rest of the run. We stop in the armor shop briefly and pick up a steel gloves, and using the equipment glitch we described earlier, we can turn this into, we picked up the wrong item, but he picked up the steel gloves, and we can turn that into a weapon called the Barbarian Sword that is normally only available as a drop from the hardest boss of the bonus dungeon exclusive to this version, which has a ridiculous amount of attack power that is anywhere between 2 and 3 times more powerful than the Mass Immune from the original version of the game. He puts one copy of the Barbarian Sword on each of the characters. Due to how the equipment glitch works, unfortunately, it requires one quick formation change for us to be able to reach all 4 characters with the equipment glitch. So you'll see him switch, in many cases, the white mage and the black mage in the formation.
All right, now he's off to see the vampire, and actually he's taking a slightly suboptimal route, and the reason I say that is because you should hang out in the marsh, because the encounter rate there is very low. It's actually, I believe it's exactly the same as a ship. So it's just better to hang out in the marsh before having to dive in, and then eventually you have to go to the plains, which has it has a much higher encounter rate. But anyway, GreenCleric has moved on to the Earth Cave, and Nickynoel.
I mean, to be fair, it's been relatively recently determined that was something that we should be doing. So it's possible these players haven't really adapted to that yet, or are not familiar with doing that yet.
Yes, that is very true.
We're in the Earth Cave now. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to make 2 trips in the Earth Cave because it's 5 floors deep. The first trip down is going to require us to go to the 3rd floor and confront a vampire that is guarding our path, and an item called the Star Ruby. The Lich that we're trying to confront at the end of it is all the way at the bottom of the 5th floor, but we can't reach beyond the 3rd floor at this point in time. We need the Star Ruby in order to access another location, and we need to use that to be able to grant an item which grants us access to the final 2 floors. So we're going to have to make the first 2 trips throughout the Earth Cave to do this. So we're going to have to walk down there and then walk back out and go side questing for a few minutes and then come back and go all the way back down. Nikki has made it to the 3rd floor. Some runners may choose to take a safety save at this location, as they can run into an enemy called cockatrices, which have a chance to paralyze our party members. If they happen to get ambushed by that kind of encounter, it can be particularly dangerous for the party. Nikki's running into Pisco Demons here, the same as we ran into in the Marsh Cave, and they are an unrunnable encounter here, so this is the first unrunnable encounter we've really seen throughout the run. So Nikki will be forced to confront that. I guess Cleric took a quick safety save and had a particularly unfavorable undead encounter and opted to reset.
Oh man, that's going to cost him quite a bit of time there.
Nikki makes it over to the vampire, and we're going to just use our brand new barbarian swords to one-shot him.
Yeah, he isn't going to know what hit him.
So we're not going to do any exploding. We're just going to do some slicing here. So vampire goes down in 1 hit.
Yep.
And then she will take a split second. Oh, she's actually healing her warrior. That's a little dangerous with how this run goes, but we'll see. She picks up the Star Ruby. They're both right at the vampire now.
Yeah, and GreenCleric with a nice recovery and gets the vampire only 22 seconds behind Nikki.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time. And the encounter luck on this floor alone could flip that around. So Nikki gets into an undead encounter, gets away.
Yeah, I don't know the evasions of the race, unfortunately.
Oh, here we go. Here's an ambush over here on Nikki's side. This could be dangerous if this goes really poorly. And she didn't save either, so that could be really painful.
Oh my gosh! 2 people stoned!
So as a safety measure, she's going to try to staff this group with her characters, and that should be enough to be able to get out of the encounter. But that was kind of a dangerous risk to take for her, not taking a safety save.
Yeah. Oh boy. I really haven't seen that before, and I have seen this quite a bit, so...
It has happened in races, and I personally had it happen to me last year when we did a tournament of this.
Oh.
And it basically lost me the race and forced me to restart the game and remake the last 20 minutes up.
Oh.
So it wasn't very fun to deal with. It is a rare occurrence, so I mean, it's really up to the player preference if they want to do it, but it takes all of like 2 seconds to save and potentially reset if there's a wipe, and not saving can cost you many, many minutes, so it seems like a small hit to take for a measure of safety.
And GreenCleric's trying to get away from these whites and gas, but he's not getting any luck right now. I know they have significant evasion, but it isn't. I don't think it's that big. I think it's like maybe in the 48 range, something like that. And
well, what can lower it is, I mean, if your characters get paralyzed before they get a chance to act, it just lowers the number of people you can have to try to run.
Yeah, that's true. So GreenCleric has decided just to blow them up.
So Nikki has made her way out of the Marsh Cave, and she'll be heading now to the Giant's Cave to present the Star Ruby we got to the Giant that's blocking our path there. It's nice that everything's like aptly named here. We got a giant's cave with a giant in it, and we're gonna have a sage's cave with a sage in it. We got an earth cave here with a bunch of earth, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, GreenCleric's been really struggled to get out of this earth cave.
He's nearly out.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally raced against GreenCleric in our group stage, and he was actually leading for a large portion of our race, and unfortunately, a late party wiping allowed me to get ahead of him and take the win. So I mean, he's a no pushover in this race. I mean, despite the relatively lower seed he has in this double elimination bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So Nicky hands the star ruby over to the giant. The giant very, very slowly makes his way out of our path.
Of course, the one thing I've always wondered is where does he go? I mean, you'd think he'd be like right there as he walks away, but nope, he just vanishes.
That is true, Mage Rion. I believe the fire and the ice caves may in fact have fire and ice in them.
Yeah.
The literal naming makes everything very convenient for, broadcasting what's going to happen in this race. So the Nicky's the first one into the Sage's cave. She's going to give, or now that we've defeated the vampire, the Sage here will reward us with the Earth Rod. This is the item we need to be able to access the last 2 floors at the bottom of Earth Cave. So Nicky's now going to make her way back over there and then start heading back down. GreenCleric, on the other hand, is at the giant, waiting for the giant to finish up moving, and then he's going to proceed on over to the Sage's cave to pick up the staff. So Nicky's got a bit of a lead at this point, but I mean the encounter rate in Earth Cave alone could flip that right back, just depending on what they get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about a moderate encounter rate. It's a little bit less than walking in the overworld, like in the normal plane squares, but it gets lower and lower as you go down the Earth Cave, so it eventually winds up to being the lowest encounter rate possible in the final floor. As I understand it, you commonly won't run into anything in the final floor of the Earth Cave as you head off to the first fiend, which will be Lich.
I believe in my race the other night, I was racing this 2 nights ago, I think I had 3 of the 5 floors on my second visit were actually encounterless, which helped me build a pretty large lead on Mr. Jeffy Boy, and I held that for most of the race until the very end of it, and then he overtook me and won the race against me. Claire getting an ambush here.
Oh, and this is not a fight you want to get ambushed in. No.
So he's got 2 characters there, so he may choose to staff. He's only going to staff with 1 character. That's going to be a risk if Black Mage gets paralyzed.
Yep.
Looks like he gets away with it.
Yep.
Nicky is re-entered the Earth Cave. She's currently on the 2nd floor, heading down. She's going to follow the same path as she did the first time. There's really only one path through this. She's going to take a safety save this time, though. She's learned her lesson from the last close call with the cockatrices, though.
Yeah, good play. Well, she's quickly gotten down to the 3rd basement, though. I didn't see many encounters on her way down.
Oh, yeah, Pisco Demons.
She's got to deal with this one.
So, I mean, there's 2 basic ways that you can deal with the Pisco Demon encounters. It largely depends on the number that you run into. You can either attack with your characters. Their Barbarian Swords will kill 1 each for each character. Or you can use the Judgment Staff on your mages to try to take a go at all of them at once. Honestly, it's just going to be up to runner preference at this point. The Memory Cursor, if it's from previous combat rounds, if they've got their Memory Cursors on characters to use the staff, it may just be easier to hold X to use the same inputs and quickly use the staff. Or attack, depending on what their previous combat rounds were.
Yeah, Green Cleric just got ambushed by 7 cobras, which isn't the worst thing in the world because they just poison, but it does cost some time. And Nickynoel got a preemptive strike against 9 undead, which could paralyze. Talk about lucky there. Of course, now she just got ambushed by 7 wolves, and so that pretty much evened the score as far as the 7 cobra ambush is concerned.
Cleric is back on the 3rd floor now, and he did not take a safety save, to what I saw. So it's a little bit of a risk here. All right, Nikki makes her way to the end of the 3rd floor and uses the Earth Rod to open up the final 2 floors, and now she's on the 4th floor. She's opting not to heal her characters. This is probably intentional to lower the health of her warrior and thief, as we're going to require them to die at a later point in the run in order to facilitate grinding levels for our white and black mage. Cleric's getting a pair of cockatrices he can get away from. Nikki's trying to run from these wraiths here. If he fails, oh, there goes the warrior.
Oh.
That was the risk of leaving poison on. I mean, at worst, it's going to require her to go in the menu and resurrect the characters, which is just going to waste a few seconds.
Yeah, 2 run fails.
So she's gonna take the violence option.
Yep. Oh, Green Cleric, lucky to get away from those 9 undead. With paralysis, he's gonna try again with the.
Nikki's nearly through that floor. It's a bit of a maze on the 4th floor. There's actually 3 paths you can take. I think Nikki took the upper path. I believe Cleric took the lower path. I think the shortest path is actually through the middle. It's only about 2 steps shorter than the upper path, though.
Yeah, I haven't figured out the best way to get through that through floor 4 myself.
And Nikki's now on the final floor, and she's about to confront the Lich. She's going to take a safety save before confronting him, as he's got a powerful attack called Blizzara, which is capable of wiping our party. Cleric has had 3 out of 4 characters paralyzed, so he opts to use the Judgment Staff on this Wraith pack he's in. The combat strategy for Lich is pretty straightforward. Just going to attack him with the Barbarian Sword, and he should go down within 2 or 3 hits, depending on how much damage our characters do. Yeah. That's enough for Lich to go down on Nikki's side. Got fortunate. Lich didn't have a chance to act or use Blizzara there. Both players are struggling quite a bit with their RNG in this run. These are both relatively slow times for getting to Lich. But I mean, we're not trying to set world records here. We're just trying to beat the opponent. So
that's right.
She's got a lead right now, and we'll have to see if she can hold it.
Yep. It's all about winning your match. And Green Cleric does do a safety save as well.
Yeah, this is probably the most obvious safety save of the run, because it can easily end here if you choose not to safety save here. Yeah. The other ones can be a bit of runner preference, but it's definitely happened in previous tournaments where people have been fully petrified and been unable to continue their race.
1 minute and 5 seconds is the advantage for Nickynoel now. But there's still plenty of time for Green Cleric to catch up.
Yeah, a large portion of that is just this cutscene here that plays after defeating Lich. First we see the crystal restored to power, and then we'll see a brief cutscene at a location called the Earthgift Shrine, which is a location we won't actually be visiting in this run. It's just one of the bonus dungeons that was added in the Game Boy Advance version, and is also present in this PSP version. Features a number of bosses from Final Fantasy III. But it's just a bonus dungeon that was added with extra content. That opens up one dungeon opens up with the defeat of each of the 4 fiends.
Mm-hmm.
So Cleric is out now. Nikki is heading back to her ship Actually, she's already made it to her ship, and now she's heading next to Crescent. Now that we've defeated the Lich, one of the elders there will reward us with a canoe, which is an item we need in order to reach a number of the other locations, including Ice Cave. We need Ice Cave, and we could use it to reach the actual Mount Gulg, I believe. But in most cases, we'll probably be using the airship later on in the run to do that. Cleric's made his way back to the ship and is now heading down. Nikki's been running away from everything, but she got poisoned along the way.
Yeah, that's not too big of a deal. She makes it to Crescent Lake.
So inside Crescent, first thing we're going to do is pick up ethers for our mages. Ethers are new in this version of the game. The original magic system from the NES version was removed in this version and replaced with an MP system similar to later Final Fantasies. And then a number of other changes were made, such as adding items like ethers to facilitate that. So she'll grab those first because this is the least out of the way location to pick those up, and then she heads over to the weapon shop, picks up a mithril axe, and uses it to perform a weapon glitch or an equipment glitch in order to equip a piece of armor called the Black Garb on her thief and black mage characters, which raises their agility even further, which again should aid them in acting quickly and running from encounters.
Yeah. That's pretty much what. It's pretty much a lot of what this game's about, is getting away.
So now Nikki's got the canoe, so she can go over these water tiles here instead of having to walk around them like Cleric is doing.
Yeah, and
she'll head back here and she'll start heading towards the ice cave, which is going to be the most dangerous location of this run.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of really nasty things, a lot of nasty monsters going on in that ice cave. It is a good idea, though, to get into these canoe tiles as much as possible, because they have a lower encounter rate as well as compared to the rest of the overworld.
So Cleric's picking up ethers here. Nikki's making her way over to the ice cave. It's just she's got to traverse this little maze in the canoe to reach it first. So she's over here.
Yeah, it looks like Nickynoel will make it to the ice cave first. Nope, and it'll probably be by a number of minutes.
All right, so Nikki's going to take a quick safety save at the entrance here because there's a number of really, really dangerous encounters here. And we'll see what happens here. Bloodbones is not one of the particularly dangerous encounters. You'll also notice, if you're looking carefully at Nikki, that her Thief and Warrior have less than 70 HP, and she'll try to keep those levels as much as possible. She probably will not be healing them in any circumstance to facilitate the grinding, which will be coming up later in this dungeon.
And now she's run into 2 Wraiths and 3 Spectres. They're not easy to run away, and I believe they're paralyzed. So what Nickynoel has done is set 2 people up to flee. And so if they got away, great. But if not, the other 2 just use the juggling staff and wipe them away. And that is, and the latter path is what has occurred here.
Yeah, it's a great, it's an excellent strategy if you want to basically guarantee that an encounter should end within 1 round.
Yeah, and then she got ambushed by 6
fleeing
Wraiths.
is always going to be the quickest way to end any specific encounter, especially if it happens to occur immediately. But if it does not, then staffing is generally a great way to guarantee that it will end in 1 round.
Yeah. Well, she did get that ambush, but got by that just fine.
So Nikki's making her way here. We're ultimately here to pick up an item called the Levistone, which we need to raise the airship. A Dark Wizard ambush, that could be really dangerous. But she does not get Farragged by the Dark Wizard, which is very fortunate for her, and takes the safe route of attacking it just to make sure that it ends instead of trying to run away. but we're ultimately here to pick up an item called the Levistone, which will raise the airship from the desert and allow us the quickest transportation method available throughout the game. So the way to navigate the ice cave here is there's some stairs and there's some you use to get up and down levels in there, but there's also some areas you can't reach by that. In some other areas there are tiles with cracked ice on them, and if you step on that you will fall through to a lower floor. It's the only way to access where the Levistone actually is. So you'll see her drop down, I believe, twice to reach it, and then she'll also have to drop down after she's picked up the Levistone there in order to proceed back to the exit. So Nikki has reached where the Levistone is. The Levistone, the tile in front of the Levistone is actually guarded by an enemy known as the Evil Eye, and every time she steps on this tile, it's going to force an encounter with the Evil Eye. The strategy here for this first encounter with it is to defend with everyone, as we're hoping that Evil Eye will will use its powerful attack Thundara to kill off our 2 melee fighters to set up a grind.
Well, in this case, though, it killed 3. It killed the Black Mage.
Oh, that's a problem.
No. And a gaze as well.
I believe she did save, though, so I think she's okay.
Yes, she did save, so... In fact, I think that might be what she's going to have to do. Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen it play out like that, but that's pretty interesting.
Wow. Wow, excellent decision to save, though.
Yeah, the save is it's a wise idea in this location, as you're surrounded by a bunch of cracked ice, and you're going to be here grinding against the Evil Eye after the first encounter here. I mean, the goal here, ideally you want Evil Eye to use either its gaze attacks or Thundara to kill off your 2 melee fighters and then leave your 2 mages alive, and then we'll spend about maybe 10 or 11 fights against the Evil Eye. We'll just walk back and forth to force an encounter with that in order to gain levels.
Yeah,
Nikki's getting some extremely uncooperative Evil Eye encounters, though.
This will take care of it. Yep.
Okay, so now she's finally got the setup she wants, so she's going to go ahead and kill the Evil Eye here. More than likely, she's going to heal up as well, just to make sure that if the Evil Eye acts first on a subsequent grind fight, he can't wipe the party.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's going to heal up here. Now she's just going to continue to walk back and forth on this to raise our mage's levels. At this point of the fight, we're trying to get our characters to level 18, and then we will probably do 1 additional fight against them, and then resurrect everybody and head on out. The ultimate goal being to have our characters, especially our mages, level 19 by the end of the Citadel, when we go to do class changing and purchasing spells. They need to be level 19 in order to be able to purchase the spells.
Yeah.
So that is why we choose to do it like that. GreenCleric is also on the Evil Eye grind now.
Yeah, and he got much better luck than Nickynoel did.
Yeah, Nikki unfortunately lost a lot of time to the Evil Eye's non-cooperation.
Yeah. And as a result, the lead's now down to 56 seconds. But now GreenCleric did decide to save after that, but now he's just gonna Evil Eye grind. So, but this isn't gonna take very long.
No, these fights go pretty quickly. GreenCleric actually did not heal, which can be a little dangerous if Evil Eye happens to act first in one of these fights. It's rare, but it can happen.
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing
it's a bit of a risk here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We got an encounter off the tile, too. Ooh. Did they both get one? Or did Nikki drop down?
Yeah, Nikki dropped down.
She got her party up, so yeah, she's done.
Yeah.
Nikki got enough levels. She probably didn't have to grind as long because she's had to kill a number of encounters over the course of getting to this point. So she probably had higher levels than usual. We get a white dragon over here, though, on Nikki's side. This is a particularly dangerous encounter. They are fleeable, but our chances of fleeing from them at this point are rather low.
Yeah,
and they do a powerful ice storm attack, which can do a lot of damage to our party. So attacking them is usually the safest course of action.
Yeah, I was going to say the white dragon has 120 evasion, and that's going to be higher than the agility, intelligence, and luck combined for the entire game. So their chances of running away are very low, especially now.
And GreenCleric was level 17, I believe, when he checked the menu a second ago. And I don't think he got a level up on that one, so he should have maybe 2 more fights with Evil Eye. That would be the first one. Should get him to level 18 on his mages, and now we should be doing 1 more fight here. And that should be enough for the grind. We'll have to see how their levels look when he drops down first, and then...
Yeah, now I'll revive everybody.
Okay, GreenCleric's Black Mage and Thief are a little low on their HP totals, but we'll have to see if that goes up over the course of the rest of the run. It may become an issue on the final boss, but before that, it really shouldn't be much of an issue. Nicky, meanwhile, is headed out of the ice cave and is heading towards the desert where we can raise the airship with the levestone we picked up.
And GreenCleric has failed to run from these 9 undead, and now they've got 2 paralyzed. Yep, time to blow them up.
After you drop down from that location where the Evil Eye is, there you drop down to a lower level, and there is actually a forced encounter immediately after that tile that Cleric stepped on. It's usually with a large pack of undead, but it can be occasionally a small pack as well. It can also be an ambush, which can waste you a lot of time or be just dangerous if it paralyzes your party. So Nicky raises the airship, and she's going to head first to the Citadel of Trials to pick up the item we need in order to class change. Using the airship in such a manner, though, there's not really a close landing spot that we can use our ship on. So this is the closest spot, so she's in for a bit of a walk here in order to reach it from there.
Unfortunately, the encounter rate around here isn't that terrible, because she gets to go through desert, which I believe has the lowest encounter rate. She has to go through a little bit of forest, which is the highest, but then she's got a rather lengthy section of marsh, so that's not terrible.
Cleric makes his way out of the ice cave successfully, so they've both gotten through the most dangerous part of the run.
Yeah, I'm thinking though, like GreenCleric did have a lot of bad luck after the grind. I know he ran into those wraiths like while he was trying to grind for the eye. Excuse me. So it's going to cause GreenCleric to lose some time here. And now we're going through this. Now Nicky's going through the Citadel of Trials, and she has to go through all these pillars. Some of them have choices, but the choice is the same for all of them. Go with whichever one is lower.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a maze, this floor. You're basically transported around in various portions of this and presented with these little teleporters. If you happen to step on the wrong one, it will send you back towards the start of the maze. Cleric is, for some reason, not skipping the cutscene.
Yeah.
He might be distracted with something, but you can usually press X to skip them. Now he remembers.
Yeah.
So we lost a few seconds there, unfortunately for him. Nicky's made her way through the teleport maze, and now she's on the final floor, so she has to circle around counterclockwise in order to reach the final chest with the rat's tail. First, she steps into this room, though, and encounters a nightmare. It's a forced encounter on this tile right as you walk through the door. It can be difficult to run from at this point, so she may choose to attack it, or if it happens to be preemptive, she may choose to run from it.
And now Nickynoel's picked up a healing staff, and that's going to be used for an equipment glitch later.
Yeah, we pick up the item here as it's not that far out of the way, and it's going to be important to later on in the run for glitching purposes. Cleric has landed and is making its way to the Citadel. Nicky's in this pack of horned devils, which I'm wasting a bunch of time just hitting her and casting fire. It's doing a lot of damage
Oh.
to her characters, but it's not particularly dangerous by itself.
No.
Now she's going to stop and pick up a gauntlets, which is another item we're going to be using for a glitch at the very end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It also can be used as an item. It can cast Thundara when you use it as an item. It's not commonly used in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
So Cleric begins the maze here. Nicky's got the rat's tail now, so she's going to head out of here. First, she's going to step in front of this throne here and then encounter a dragon zombie or two, which is a forced encounter here.
And you can't
it's
run from
unrunnable,
it.
so she's got to deal with these guys, and then she can step on the throne and teleport out. So now that she has the rat's tail, she has everything she needs in order to go over to the Dragon King Bahamut and get the class change.
Yeah,
And over the course of that, her character should be, her mages especially, should be level 19, so she should be able to purchase all the spells we're going to need, and we'll do that shortly after class changing.
Green Cleric got unlucky and ran into Minotaur zombies, which are unrunnable, so he had to dispatch of those. And now he's electing to fight the nightmares here at the spike tile here.
Yeah, it's generally a pretty safe strat because running from them can be rather difficult. It's an encounter shortly after. Nicky actually took a safety save in the Citadel, I believe, just in case she gets an unfavorable encounter with either Medusas or Mind Flayers, which can cause problems if ambushed, especially. I didn't see Cleric take a save. It's not necessary to take a save here, but it can guard against some unfavorable events. So Nicky is now headed over to the Dragon Caves where Bahamut is, and she's just going to walk through two very, very long corridors and then talk to him.
And then they're going to effectively power up, so to speak.
So the class change grants us access to even more equipment and more powerful spells for all of our characters, as the upgraded classes have access to better selections. But in this case, we just need to perform the class change in order for our mages to be able to cast the spells that we're planning to use throughout the run.
So Green Cleric has now picked up the rat tail. He's now 2 minutes down to Nickynoel. Still plenty of time though to catch up.
Oh, Nicky's opting to pick up the caravan first. It's a slight route alteration, but it's not a huge one either way. So she's going to pick up a fairies bottle here, and then after you pick that up, another menu of items opens up for sale, and she's going to pick up a giant's tonics, which will be useful only on the final fight.
Yeah, and that's if their HP isn't big enough. Which seems like more often than not it is not enough. So it's a good buy.
So Nicky stopped over here in Gaia. The bottled fairy that she bought, lives in a spring that's at the back of the town. So once you uncap it, it flies off quickly to its little spring. Oh, there's this guy here blocking her path. But then she has to go back and talk to the fairy, and it will reward her with the Oxyel, which is an item. The next one of the later dungeons is underwater, and we need the Oxyel in order to breathe underwater. This is a little out of sequence from how I would typically do this and how many runners do it, but it's not a huge sequence change.
No. As I understand it, it might be 5 seconds slower than the normal round, if I understand it correctly.
I have never tested that, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, I was just going by previous commentary, but I don't know. Anyway, regardless, Nickynoel is off to the volcano.
I don't believe she bought the spells yet. She may be doing that afterwards.
Oh, okay. You notice that she's running over a lot of lava, and the reason she's doing that is because if you run over lava, you are guaranteed not to run into an encounter.
Cleric's doing the more traditional method over here, so he's actually picking up the spells now that he's class changed. And Nicky's just, she skipped that step right now. She's going to come back to it. So Cleric stops first at Melmond and picks up Heal Aura for the White Mage and Teleport for the Black Mage. And then he's going to stop over at Elfheim and pick up Haste for the Black Mage. Those are the only 3 spells we'll be using. Heal Aura will heal on the final fight. Haste will increase our attacks on 2 of the last fights in the game. And Teleport will be used to let us go back quickly between floors in dungeons. Or in the case of a 1-floor dungeon, will let us teleport all the way out. So Cleric has stopped and picked up the spells, and now he's going to head to Mount Gulg, which is where Nicky is. Nicky's made her way all the way to the bottom here, and she's confronting Marilith. This is one of the easiest dungeons. It has a relatively low encounter rate because of all the lava tiles you can step on, and Marilith is a bit of a pushover to the items and equipment we have. So Marilith is down on Nicky's side. Nicky's just going to have to do some magic shopping once she gets out of here, but Cleric's all set to go. Cleric's going to actually have to go do the caravan buying and then head over to Gaia. So they're taking a slightly different path to do this, but they both still have to do that. No, Cleric tries to run from Ogre Mage Hellhound, which is an unrunnable encounter here.
Yeah.
That's a mistake.
Oh.
So you don't get any feedback in this game that you can't run from certain unrunnable encounters. It's just learning and over time, like what you can run into and what you can and cannot run from. Mm-hmm. So it will let him try to run, but he will not actually be able to run.
Yeah, so that will cost him a little bit of time, but not terrible, not terribly so. And now I believe Nickynoel is now off to get her spells.
Yeah, Nicky's now stopped in Elfheim. She'll pick up Haste here. Cleric's making his way down.
And now GreenCleric is on the final basement and is about to fight Marilith now. Just a few swings of the sword and I'll take care of it.
Nicky's all done with shopping and she's already done, guys, so I believe she can head straight to Onrak now to head to the next dungeon.
Yep. A little mislining, but Nicky hanging on to her 2-minute advantage at the volcano.
So Nicky is currently leading this. This is just the first round of our double elimination bracket, so nobody's at risk of being eliminated or anything to determine whether or not they continue on in the upper bracket or the lower bracket.
Yeah. The winner of this match will face the winner of Neblis and Lenofis. Did I pronounce that correctly? I'm sorry.
I believe it's Lenofis, but it's just a personal thing.
Okay. All right, Lenofis. And the loser will face the loser of that match, So
Nicky has entered the Sunken Shrine. She's used the Oxyel we picked up from that bottled fairy, and is now in the Sunken Shrine. There are 2 objectives in the Sunken Shrine. It actually starts on the 3rd floor instead of like the 1st floor, something like that. And your first goal is to head to the highest floor, the 5th floor, where an item called the Rosetta Stone is hiding in a chest. It's an item we'll need in order to access a town later on, which contains an item for that lets us access one of the last dungeons. Nikki's getting an encounter here with Sahagan Prince in Chief. This is an unrunnable encounter, so she's forced to take care of this with a staff. They always spawn in packs of 9 as well, so there's the easiest way by far to deal with them is the Judgment Staff. She got that on the 3rd floor, which is a little bit rare there. Now she's on the 4th floor, so she's heading up first to pick up this Rosetta Stone. And then we'll see the first use of the Black Mage's teleport to head back down to the 3rd floor once she's picked it up. Once she gets through this floor, there's no encounters on the 5th floor, so it's just a long walk at that point just to go and grab the chest.
Mm-hmm.
This is a spot where you can lose a lot of time just due to the number of encounters that you can get here. So she got through it with only, I think, 1 unrunnable encounter, which was on the 3rd floor, which is pretty good.
Yeah, the 4th floor has a pretty high encounter rate, as a matter of fact.
And it's very often you get a lot of unrunnables there. So Nikki hits the first objective. She gets the Rosetta Stone here, and now she's going to use teleport twice on the Black Mage, which each time will transport it 1 floor back. And then once she's reached the 3rd floor, she'll instead head left this time and continue to the lower floors to confront Kraken. Cleric is all done in Gaia and is now heading over to Omrak. He misses the landing spot a little bit, but he's got it. This is not a particularly dangerous dungeon for our characters, but I mean, if you get a number of unrunnable encounters, it can just lose you a lot of time here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is unfortunately this could be a very time-wasting dungeon, just depending on your encounter luck here. So Nikki is slowly making her way towards Kraken, getting pretty solid luck so far. I haven't seen too many unrolls yet on this portion.
No. All right, I don't think she's been getting a lot of encounters, period, ever since she got the stone.
So Nikki finds herself on the 2nd floor now. Gonna detour first over here and pick up this chest. And it looks like she takes extra steps to pick up the chest here. But she'll actually approach it from the right instead of on the left or from below, as those have forced encounters when you step on those tiles. She also ran into a pair of ghosts, which is another one of the unrunnable encounters here. So she was forced to kill those before she could continue on. Inside this chest is a light axe. We'll use this to glitch a piece of armor known as Survival Vest onto all of our characters. And we'll also use the healing staff we picked up in the Citadel of Trials to put a pair of lordly robes on the White Mage, specifically on the helmet and the glove slots, not on the armor slot. This raises the intelligence of the mage, but it also slows her down considerably, so she'll be extremely strong with magic attacks and heals, but she'll be slow to act in many of our combat rounds, unfortunately.
Well,
the Survival Vest will raise the agility of our characters to the highest level it's going to be throughout the run, so our chances of running are now at the highest they're going to be.
Yeah, I was going to say fortunately and unfortunately, because well, you'll see. It actually is a great thing when it comes to the final fight.
And the reason she puts it specifically on the helmet and the glove slot and not on the armor slot is that the lordly robes actually contain a regeneration animation that plays if you specifically equip them on the body slot. But it would play at the end of a combat round, and it's a slight time loss every time that actually does occur, which is why it's not equipped like that. It doesn't go off, and it doesn't work like that if you put it on slots that it's not intended for.
Oh. Oh,
Nikki
water
running
elementals.
Yeah, water elementals are unrunnable here on the final floor.
Yeah, but fortunately there's only 2 of them, so this won't be a big problem.
So I believe Nikki's seen all 3 of the different unrunnable encounters over the course of this sunken shrine.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, GreenCleric's run into 4 ghosts, so he has to use the Judgment Staff on that. And Nickynoel is running to Kraken, and the strategy to beat the Kraken is the exact same as beating Marilith. Use the Barbarian Sword, watch him disintegrate. And there he goes.
So Kraken is down here, and meanwhile, Cleric is on this survival vest menu. Struggling a little bit with it. It's not always easy to perform these glitches. I mean, it's close to frame perfect or near frame perfect when you switch and select X at the same time.
Now, GreenCleric elected to put the survival vest on the white mage. Nickynoel actually elected to keep the thieves amulet on her, on the white mage.
I typically do survival vest myself as it raises the odds of that, but I mean it's gonna be again runner preference.
Mm-hmm.
So Nikki's now making her way out. We're actually nearby to another location that we have to stop at called the Waterfall Cave. So instead of heading back to her ship, she's going to detour first to the north along this river and head into the Waterfall Cave to pick up the first of 2 items we need to access the final crystal.
Yeah, notice GreenCleric ran into Water Elemental, and he was he started to do one thing and then just decided to attack it. So we're all good.
So Nikki enters the Waterfall Cave. This is one of the highest encounter rates of any dungeon in this game. So you may see her get a number of encounters here, usually every few steps.
Mm-hmm.
I think my record low number of encounters is maybe 3. But I mean, it's much more common to get upwards of close to 10 encounters here over the course of this. This is just one long, winding tunnel.
Yeah.
At the very end is a treasure room, and inside the treasure room is a robot that is holding the warp cube, an item we need to access the floating fortress later on. And there's a treasure chest with an item called the ribbon, which is one of the most important glitches we'll be picking up throughout this run.
Mm-hmm.
Claire getting a number of water elementals, unfortunately, on his run to Kraken, which is just slowing him down little by little, so Nikki's lead is just widening that much more.
Yeah.
So Nikki's nearly to the treasure room. The nightmares that we saw in the Citadel of Trials earlier also appear here as random enemies, but due to our increased equipment, we'll have an easier time running from them here. So we generally choose to run from them here. Nikki got a forced encounter as soon as she walked into the room, and she picked up the ribbon, and now she's talking to the robot to pick up the warp cube. After this, she's probably going to do a quick menu with a ribbon. This is a unique equipment glitch that we do with the ribbon here. We have 1 copy of the ribbon here, and first we turn it into an item called the Gigantax, but we don't actually use the Gigantax. We just use the Gigantax in our inventory to turn it into even more ribbons, and then put 1 for each character on the shield slot. And prior to this, we haven't put any items. All characters actually have 4 armor slots, and we haven't put any items on the shield slot. And the reason for this is that if you have an item on the shield slot, it's possible for you to block an attack and call up a combat animation related to that item. And if there is no if you put a glitched item on there and there's no block animation linked to that item, it can cause a soft lock of the game.
Oh.
Which is why we don't put any items on there. But luckily for us, the ribbon actually does call up a valid blocking animation if it does happen to block an attack in this game. So it's the reason we put it on that slot at that point in time. I mean, the other advantages of the ribbon are obviously it lowers the chance to be inflicted by any status effects, so it reduces the chance of any poison, petrification, paralyze to near 0 levels, as well as death attacks, and it greatly reduces the damage we take from elemental attacks.
So
it's a very handy piece of equipment.
Yeah, so poor Scythe mentioned that the lead is widening. It is now almost 3 minutes for Nickynoel. And time is starting to run out, actually. But still, anything can happen.
So Nikki, now that she picked up the Rosetta Stone earlier in the Sunken Shrine, she headed first to the town of Melmond and gave it to one of the NPCs there. The NPC translated it for her and taught her the Lufenian language. And now we're going to head over to the town of Lufenia. And once we've translated the language, we can actually talk with the NPCs there. And one of the NPCs will hand us an item called the Chime, which is the second item we need to be able to access the final crystal, the air crystal. So we need, in order to reach the air crystal, we have to enter the Mirage Tower. We can't get into the Mirage Tower unless we have the Chime, which is the item that the Lufenian NPC will give us here. And then once we've made it to the final floor there, we use the warp cube to transport the warp cube that we picked up in the waterfall cave, or that GreenCleric's about to pick up here. So we need both of those items combined to reach the final floor where Tiamat awaits us. Nikki got an encounter here with zombie minotaurs and trolls. Any encounters on this run over to Lufenia that include zombie minotaurs are unrunnable, so she has to take care of those.
And now
Cleric gets the warp cube. Nikki gets the Chime, so
yep.
Nikki now has both items, and GreenCleric has the first of the two items he needs to get to the air crystal.
Now Nickynoel has to make the long walk back to her ship.
Yes, unfortunately, there's only one viable landing spot in order to be able to reach the town of Lufenia, and it's a considerable walk away from where you have to land your airship. So along this way, you can get a number of encounters with zombie minotaurs, especially, which always waste time. And there's also winter wolves that you can run into, which have a chance to use an ice storm attack that can waste a bunch of time. But you can run away from winter wolves.
GreenCleric with a little bit of a struggle here with getting this ribbon, but yeah, there we go. He's got it. Almost.
Oop, it's just, there he goes.
There we go.
All right, Nikki's nearly back. It's just a hop over here to land your ship so that you can get to the Mirage Tower. Mirage Tower actually is just 3 floors long, and the first floor is very, very quick. The second one, we walk counterclockwise pretty much all the way around to get to the staircase to the 3rd floor. But this is another floor where there's a very, very high encounter. So depending on the number of encounters, she may lose a little time. May lose a little bit of her lead on GreenCleric, depending on how many encounters she gets here.
Yeah.
But Cleric is also going to have to go through here. So we'll have to see. Cleric is stopping over to Melmond to translate the Rosetta Stone. Nikki's running away. She's making progress, but again, she's just getting a lot of encounters here. This is just a high encounter zone.
But nothing too terrible as far as what she's running into.
No, she's had pretty solid encounters, pretty standard encounters for this.
Well, that wouldn't be... Okay, she got away from the cockatrices. And now she's about to run into a forced fight against the blue dragon. But like a lot of these battles, you just do the exact same thing. Get out your barbarian sword, slash a couple times, and down it goes.
So Nikki's made it to the final floor. As soon as she steps in this room, she's forced into an encounter with the blue dragon, which goes down quickly, and then she steps on this to teleport up to the floating fortress. Once she's up here, she's going to proceed through the 5 floors all the way to Tiamat guarding the air crystal at the end. This again also has a very high encounter rate on this first floor. And here's a forced encounter with an evil eye that she can't run from.
Yeah.
So she's making her way. This is the 2nd floor.
Whoa, Black Flan.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rare encounter here.
Yeah.
Not particularly dangerous, but it's just a rare. Nikki's now onto the 3rd floor. Actually, she's onto the 4th floor now.
Yeah.
The 4th floor is actually an endless floor. You could walk in any direction endlessly and not make any progress here. But to actually get to the other end of the 4th floor, you would just need to go up 2 corridors or go down 2 corridors and then go 2 in either direction, left or right. So basically just to walk if you walk diagonally through each corridor, you will eventually reach the teleporter to the next floor. On the 5th floor, you may see or take a safety save, as we're hoping to see the rare Warmech encounter on the 5th floor.
Yeah. Warmech hype. Now, believe it or not, in the NES version, the encounter rate is very high in that 5th floor, but in this version, it's not high at all. I mean, it's not low, but it's not like the 1st floor of the Mirage Tower at all, or the Waterfall Cave for that matter. No matter, Nickynoel has reached Tiamat, and once again, she's just gonna make quick work of it. As Noel's lead is now expanded to 4 minutes at the chime split.
Well, at this point, she's nearly the full dungeon ahead of him, Cleric, because Cleric just entered the Mirage Tower and has to go through that and the Flying Fortress to reach Tiamat. Nikki still has a chance to see Warmech after this cutscene plays out, as she's trying to run out. Ooh, it's an ambush on Cleric's side that's just going to waste him time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But he gets through it. He's on the 3rd floor now, so he's going to go into the fight with the blue dragon here. Nikki's cutscene is finished playing out here, so now she's going to walk out, and she does not get a Warmech. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, no. But maybe GreenCleric, Mike. I was going to say, though, GreenCleric did not get a lot of encounters. He just sliced 46 seconds off that lead.
That's good for him. He's gonna need to continue to get pretty good RNG in order to make up some time here.
Yeah. As Nickynoel comes to the final dungeon of the game, which is the exact same as first dungeon of the game.
So now that Nikki's restored the power of the crystals to all 4 crystals, we head back here and present them in front of an orb here that will remove itself and grant us passage to the Chaos Shrine in the past. We'll go back into the past and confront Chaos. These cutscenes that play after each of the fiends are defeated, it's opening bonus dungeons that were added first in the Game Boy Advance remake. So, I mean, there's one corresponding to each of the 4 elemental crystals, and they contain bonus content that was added in that version, including bosses from Final Fantasies 3, 4, 5, and 6. We don't see them over the course of this run because there's nothing contained in them that we need in order to continue on this path, but it's just some bonus content that was included. It's also in this version, and there's an additional bonus dungeon in this version called the Labyrinth of Time, which is the cutscene that Nikki saw when she first entered the Chaos Shrine, as we see that entrance opening up. Cleric has made it to Tiamat. I didn't see a Warmech along the way, so he may still have a shot on his way out. Nikki, meanwhile, is getting into a couple of unrunnable encounters. I saw purple worms earlier, and now green dragons. These are unrunnable encounters that she's running into. So the more of those that come up, the better Cleric's chances are at this point.
Right. Yeah, he caught up just a little bit more at Tiamat, but so leads back down to 3 minutes. But I tell you what,
forced into an encounter here with Death-Eye.
Yeah.
And then she'll stop at this little pedestal over here and play the lute. And playing the lute here will remove the obstruction here, and then she'll be able to continue on.
Yeah, Yeah, I was gonna say with those green dragons, they are worth a lot of experience points. So I mean, yes, it's a forced encounter, but no. Oh, dragon zombies. That's another unrunnable encounter as well.
Yes, there's a large number of unrunnable encounters spread throughout the many floors of the Chaos Shrine. So, I mean, the more she runs into, the slower she's going to go, and the better chance Cleric can catch up. But it's entirely possible Cleric will also get just as many random encounters here as she does.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, though, this is going to be a really good time from Nickynoel if this holds on. She is getting a lot of unrunnables.
Yeah. Not particularly dangerous ones, though, which is good for her.
No.
This is a nasty one, though.
Ooh.
This Ice Geese Winter Wolf combination. I mean, due to the large number of enemies, the best way to deal with them is actually just a staff with a white mage. As if she tries to staff with the black mage, his intelligence is high enough to kill all the characters outright. But another way that she can deal with it is to attack with her melee guys and then use the staff on the wolves. There's a couple different ways to tackle that one, but it's a very slow encounter to deal with. And it cost me a lot of time on my race the other day.
Oh.
And Nikki makes it through that floor without any encounters, which is really, really good. She dodged white dragons, which are runnable to do a lot of damage here.
Yeah.
Particularly if you fail to run from them. And she's already on the Lich's floor, so at this point, Nikki's pretty solidly in the lead and kind of cruising to this win right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take really, really poor encounter rate on Kraken's floor to really make any difference, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and here's
or
an
a wipe
unrunnable
to
for
chaos
GreenCleric.
that may set her back a little bit.
Yeah. Add
Because her
earth
black mage
elementals.
is really low on HP, actually.
Oh, I was gonna say add earth elementals to the unrunnables.
Nikki's black mage is a really, really low HP total at this point in the run.
Yeah, my goodness.
That may prove problematic on chaos, but she'll be able to make it all the way to chaos without any issues.
Yeah.
So Nikki's here on the first of the 4 refights with the fiends. These are slightly powered up fiends. They have more HP and slightly different attacks. This Lich in particular has a flare attack, which is the same as the one we've been using all game, but doesn't use it on Nikki, so that saves a lot of time, because that would have easily killed 2 out of her 3 characters with no problems.
Yeah.
Cleric getting green dragons on his side. Nikki makes it through. Now she's on to the Marilith floor. So this and that last floor, this floor, and then the next 2 floors are each themed after the enemies that you would normally find in the dungeons for each of these characters, or for each of the fiends. So Nikki's running into fire elementals, yet another of the unrunnables that throughout this dungeon. So she's getting slogged a little bit with encounters, but she still has a pretty substantial lead right now.
Yeah, actually, it's going to go up at the loot split. Yeah, he's GreenCleric's run into a ton of unrunnables.
Nikki makes it now onto this tile, which forces an encounter with a Marilith refight. Marilith is not particularly dangerous to us here, especially if we're at high HP levels. The worst attack she may use is Faraga. But once again, she's pretty cooperative, and Nikki makes short work of her. Cleric is meanwhile playing the loot and opening up the lower floors. So now Nikki's on the Kraken floor, which is usually one of the most time-wasting floors. This water elemental combination is unrunnable, so she's choosing to staff it.
Yep.
Cleric is also choosing to deal with Ice Geese Winter Wolf with his white mage only, which guarantees that it will hit all 6 enemies and kill them all. Another unrunnable pack for Cleric, as well as Nikki over here.
Oh, man. And more dragon zombies for GreenCleric. And more water
elementals for Nicky.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're both getting a lot of unrunnables here. It's losing them a lot of time, but since it's happening to both of them, the lead's probably not significantly changing at this point.
4 minutes at the Death Eye split, actually.
Let's see what Cleric's doing here. Cleric, the white dragons are actually runnable, but they can just, it's not guaranteed that you can run away from them.
Yeah,
Nicky's onto Kraken. Purple Worm is unrunnable over here for Cleric.
Nope. He's out of flavor, that's okay.
Nicky's got Kraken down now. Cleric's nearly to Lich's floor. He's got to get past this one other white dragon pack, which he gets away from.
Wow.
All right, so
two
now he's on
first
Lich's
try
floor.
runs. Isn't it 2 first run tries from those white dragons?
Nicky's HP is still dangerously low, I think, for her Black Mage. So this could be a very interesting chaos fight coming up. But meanwhile, Nicky's on Tiamat now. And the strategy changes a little bit on Tiamat due to his high health. We usually opt to haste the ninja in order to try to end this within 2 rounds. It may still go more than 2 rounds, but it raises our chances of being able to end this within 2 rounds. GreenCleric is fighting another unrunnable Earth Elemental over there. And Nicky gets it down. So now Nicky's basically all set, and she's going to head to the final boss, and we'll have to see if this low HP value on her Black Mage proves problematic or not.
Yeah, it's still only 150. But that's why we got the Giants tonics.
Cleric taking a safety save before heading into the Lich fight. Nicky gets an ambush afterwards, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but against
there's Flare. That's gonna hurt on Cleric's side.
Yeah, and Cleric only has 159 HP for the Black Mage. Oh, down. Yeah.
Now, Cleric should still survive that, but yeah, it just slows you down because it requires you to resurrect your characters and then heal them back up. So it causes a little bit of a time loss just for menuing to take care of that.
Well, at the Lich 2 split, it's 4 minutes 35 seconds. So I'm pretty sure Nickynoel is going to have just a free chance or two in case something goes
Nicky
wrong.
saved. I didn't see if she saved or not, but as the setup for this, Nicky glitched should have glitched the golden staff onto her white mage to raise its healing capability and taken off the survival vest if she had it, or whatever was on the armor slot, and put a pair of clothes on there to guarantee that the white mage acts last on every round. Let's see. The Giants tonics we picked up when we were at the caravan, we're going to use them here on our Thief and Black Mage to raise their maximum HP totals so that they can survive Chaos's most powerful attacks. Lazaga is actually probably an okay start for Nicky. That was kind of close, but should be able to survive that. So long as he doesn't go into the magic cycle, she's probably okay. Or gets a really unfortunate crit on one of the mages. Cleric's got Marilith down. That's a good pattern for Nicky now. So she did save, so I would hope that she would save, because doing this fight without a save is very, very dangerous, particularly with the low health of her Black Mage entering the fight. So, I mean, the general strategy for this one is she's going to have her Warrior and Thief attack every round. They usually might use the opening round to set up Thief's tonics to raise, or Giant's tonics to raise the HP totals of their Thief and Black Mage. After that, you're going to use White Mage is going to be on healing duty throughout the fight, and Black Mage will be hasting himself and the Ninja and Warrior, and then attacking after that point. And it usually takes about 6 or 7 rounds of combat, depending on how this goes. She just had to survive the early round with the low health of the Black Mage, and she did so. So now she's looking pretty good to finish this out. Cleric's trying his best on Kraken right now, and he's got him down. Nikki's making quick work of him right now.
Yep.
Oh, she's got him
We've
ready.
got a
That was
winner.
quick.
We've got a winner, and with the official SRL time, 1 hour 34 minutes and 3 seconds. Congratulations, Nickynoel. You're moving on to round 2 of the winners bracket.
Cleric's got Tiamat down.
Yeah, he caught up a little bit on the Tiamat split, but the deficit was just too big. It was 3 minutes at the slab, and it really didn't fluctuate that much after that. So.
So Cleric's setting up for the final fight now. So he's just making sure that he's putting the golden staff on the white mage and the clothes to guarantee that it goes last. Just healing everybody up and then using ethers to give full MP. And Nikki has joined us in the channel. Congratulations, Nikki.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, by far the roughest run I've had.
Yeah, you were getting a lot of actually both of you were getting quite a lot of just unrunnable encounters or runs that you were.
It wasn't just unrunnables, it was just a hell lot of encounters. Like, I
Yeah,
had the feeling I had at least 200 full when I entered Chaos Shrine.
Yeah, that's
And
one of the
actually-
lowest HP totals I think I've ever seen on the Black Mage.
God, I actually was like, okay, I'm gonna even kill every white dragon I will come across for this freaking Black Mage who had like 141 going into Chaos Shrine. And yeah, he got 2, 2, 2, and 3 HP. To end up at the 150 in the end. Which, yeah, we've had races before where you could have seen, like, that could have easily cost the race. But
Yeah, I
got
got-
lucky. Was
Yeah,
able to
very
survive
lucky with the
Blizzaga.
Blizzaga, it looked like. So Cleric looks like he's pretty well set right now. At least he's doesn't seem to be in any danger on this fight, so he should be finishing up in the next minute or two.
As long as we don't get a physical crit on the white mage, she should be fine.
Did Chaos use any of his Blaze Tsunami Cyclone on you?
No, actually he didn't.
So that was a pretty good Chaos pattern then.
Only Blizzaga, Sandaga, and then physical. Yeah, the problem with the blaze spells is that it actually doesn't get halved by the ribbon. Which is why it deals as much damage as it does.
Cleric's well on his way at this point, so he should be pretty much be able to finish this out. It's the physical on the warrior, which saves him a little bit of time. It's not particularly dangerous.
And
there it is.
There he goes. And GreenCleric's official SRL time is 1 hour 37 minutes 57 seconds. So that is a margin of victory of 3 minutes and 54 seconds. GG to both players.
Yeah, they both had a pretty rough run with the RNG on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of hoping, as a higher tier runner, you're kind of hoping for a time around closer to 130. But I mean, the RNG can definitely slow you down enough to add several minutes to your run.
Yeah, I had like 3 130s in the preliminaries. Even with bad glitches, like 36-30 was my worst in the second race. And today it is 37-30, but yeah, I mean, if you on top of that die to Evil Eye, which lasts like a minute, then it's rough. Like, you already see at glitch that the run doesn't really go to good times.
Hello, cleric.
Oh, do you have a GreenCleric? Oh.
He's making noise. He's here. I think
Yeah.
he's just fiddling with his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was something.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a pretty
That
tough run for
was-
both of you.
Yeah, that run was, I think, just at the start. The start wasn't too bad, and then Earth Cave, the time just started ticking away from there, and that was actually really rough. And I mean, the only really good thing I can say about that was that I did get a good chaos, and that was about it. It was just little things. Like, there wasn't anything, I don't remember anything major or anything like that, but just a lot of little things, a lot of encounters are really tough to run from. Yeah, not a clean run by any means.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember too many obvious mistakes. I think the only one that I remember was you tried to run, I think, from an Ogre Mage Hellhound at some point.
Yeah, that was in but that's instinct. I mean, it is unrunnable, but at the same time, you don't see it that often. So, especially when you're just trying to make up time, you're just gonna say, "Okay, I'm in the volcano. I'm gonna run." Nope, that's not a good idea. Although I did find it weird that when I was going to get the chime, I didn't come across a single Minotaur zombie. So that was a little strange.
That was very good. I think Nikki had got through that floor in Chaos Shrine without any white dragon encounters.
Yeah, I was.
The first one was two purple eyes, I think, two single purple eyes, and the second one on the way to Lich actually got 0 encounters. Like, Chaos Shrine was probably the only place that really was good.
Yeah, Chaos was okay for me too. Just Lich did flare, but that's not a big deal. Not a big deal because I had enough. HP to withstand that. But that's just little trolly things. But it was just a lot of little things. This is one of those runs where the game's just gonna say, you know what, you've had decent RNG the past little while, so we're just gonna mess you up just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, Chaos went also well, but I mean, it could only have gone well or died. With the Black Mage with 150 HP, which is, I think, the lowest I've ever seen before.
Mine was about as low. Mine might have been about maybe 160 at best. So both
I think it was
of us.
162.
Wow.
It was 162, I think it was.
I seem to
Yeah.
recall an earlier race where someone had 160, I think, and
Yeah, Keybus
Chaos
I
opened with
remember
with
Keybus
Blaze
I
and
had
did 159.
And she died the first, I don't know, died the first time, reset later the second time, and then once, yeah, she survived with like 1 HP to Blaze.
Yeah, that was a pretty surprising thing. No Warmax today, unfortunately, for either of you.
I was so praying for Warmake. On that
Yeah,
floor,
what
and
a-
then I get 0 encounters, of course, just like white dragons being, I kill all white dragons I come across. Yeah, rip that plan.
Yeah,
With any luck,
GreenCleric
we'll
ran
see
into
him at least once more time before the end of this tournament.
Yeah, GreenCleric ran into 2 white dragons, and I think you got away. You ran away first time, both times. Did I see that right?
Yeah, it was first time, both time. I think maybe one of them was one failed run, but at least this time I learned my lesson. I did safety save before when I entered, because we're not going to mention what happened last time. But but yeah, I mean, the only problem though was that even at the start of Chaos Temple, I was attracting green dragons like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember back in, I think on the second trip in Earth Cave, I think Nikki took the safety save on B3 the second time, but not the first time after the close call with the Cockatrice ambush.
I actually also saved the first time. It was just pretty late because I didn't think about it. Because, yeah, the time GreenCleric was probably gonna do was thought it would allow me to actually save wherever it could potentially be dangerous and save a bit more. Yeah, was it? Had known I had gotten that RNG, would have thought about it again, but yeah. Also got, I think, my third Dark Wizard ambush in 4 races. Because why not? Fortunately, just one and no Faraga, but before the grind, it's not fun to see.
No, for sure.
And yeah,
So
I recall I actually had a White Dragon in Ice Cavern. Maybe that was it.
So with the result of today, Nikki will move on to round 2 in the winners bracket, and Cleric will drop down to the lower bracket and join me there. It's not so lonely down here anymore, as it was 2 nights ago when I was the only person in the lower bracket.
No, two nights ago, you're just sitting there going, okay, what's going to go on here? But, it's still going to be interesting. I mean, there's going to be some really, really close races coming up soon, both sides of the bracket, because, there's going to be, we've seen a couple close races, especially in the group stage. I think we're going to see some real nail biters coming up.
But yeah, I think that's, unfortunately, all the FF1 we have for today's schedule. But if you like Mega Man, particularly Mega Man 3, you're in for a lot of it today, as well as some Super Metroid later today. Game Boy, can you tell us what's coming up next?
Yeah, at 12 o'clock, I believe we have Almond City versus Lightning 55 in the Mega Man 3 tournament. I think that's the group stage. And right after that, at 1 o'clock, it's Beef Watson 85 and Mr. Swede TV. And then from 2 to 4, we've got this is going to be a big match. The Super Metroid 100% semifinal, and both races are going to happen at the same time. Jack 879 versus Behemoth 87, followed by Zosti versus at the same time, Zosti versus Ivan. And we also have 3 other Mega Man 3 races. There's 2 Mega Man X2 races as well. So big day here at the Speed Gaming channel for sure. But the next go ahead.
And if you're looking for more FF1, there will be another match here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, Double Drop
versus INEB.
Yep.
So that will be, I think, the 6th or 7th race of this opening round. So there will only be a few matches left of the opening round after that.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I think we'll hand this back over to Feasel, and we'll let you get set up for the Mega Man races. So I just want to say thank everybody for the race today, and thank you, Feasel, for hosting.
Yep.
And thank you, Game Boy, for commentating with me.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. Well done, poor Scythe.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for commentating and for restreaming.
All righty, guys.
Thank you.
So take care and enjoy the Mega Man.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.